at the World Final against T1. After having that chip on your shoulder this entire time, getting the chance for a rematch, you don't want it to end with a 3-0. You want to bounce back. The first two games have gone the way of T1. BLG electing to stay on the blue side here for game number 3 as they'll continue to ban out the Azir and the Twisted Fate. They're also going to ban out the Nocturne, keeping that one away from Owner. Over on the other side, T1 still wants nothing to do with Ben's Gwen. They're also going to remove that Misfortune. You talked about it in previous drafts, how BLG likes to draft these big team fighters. They don't want to give Elk the opportunity. Aurora, the last ban for T1 here.
Vi is now open, Flowers. It's something that was banned away by T1 on the red side. With Poppy gone, it rises a lot in value. And without hesitation, BLG is hovering the pick. The question is, what are they going to look to pair it alongside? Perhaps Knight's all-time famous Ahri. We've been seeing the priority on the champion decline over time, but with so many prominent mid laners taken out of the pool, it could very much return to being a priority for Knight specifically. Now T1, how do they want to respond? We've been seeing them prioritize Fake as champion a lot. First game it was the Orianna, second it was the Victor, but this time it will be Gumayusi's Varus. World famous champion for him specifically, and he's going to be able to lock that one in, and they have pick of the litter with how they want to match up into the Vi.
And we remember last game, the Varus was banned out by T1. They didn't want to allow BLG to have that power pick on B1, but I feel like this time they're saying, oh, the Vi's open. You probably really want the Vi. They leave the Varus open. They end up getting it for themselves. The Skarner next to it for Owner to have that front line, have that big, powerful meatball there to lead the way. And how does BLG want to respond to it? What is going to be the answer to the power pick in the bot lane here? Or do you even want to bother with the bot lane right now? Instead, they'll lock in Ambessa for Ben.
They might need to grab the Kai'Sa now. Oh, there's the Ahri.
Okay, that's, of course, that's what we needed to see. Knight's famous Ahri, picking that one up. Huge, huge pairing with the Vi. This is one of those just go-to duos in League. Zyra Khan's in the lore. Vi and Ahri are in pro play. This is the duo that gets so much done.
But it's also Knight's Ahri. It's a champion that he's had so much success on throughout his career. It's a champion that you only have to go back a year to think about that this used to be a perma ban against him specifically because of how good he was on the champion. Still a monster when he gets his hands on the pick. And mid lane has kind of been left to the wayside, so BLG can continue to pinch that pool, try and put some pressure onto Faker, as it was the Renekton that was locked in for Doran to match up against the Ambessa. A pretty good matchup in the early game. He can definitely build some leads and will also act as an effective dive buddy alongside the Skarner.
So we've got top laners for both sides. We've got junglers for both sides. I want to see what this second half of bans looks like here. The Sylas banned out by BLG. Faker played this a lot in that last World Finals best of 5 against BLG. They don't want to allow him to have the opportunity to do it here on match point, while T1 instead going to focus those additional dive buddies, those additional engage mechanisms on the support role for On. They'll ban out his Rakan, they'll ban out his Nautilus, and try to reduce the amount of extra go buttons that BLG can use.
I do wonder if they will consider a first pick Alistar even. Of course, there's always the Karma still available for On to try and bully out on that matchup. But, ooh, the Tahm Kench as well, going to be taken away. It's very interesting. Yeah, the Hook potential champions in the Tahm Kench. You can see where BLG's head is at, a potential protection for the Varus, especially with how much dive is coming through on the side of BLG. What support is T1 looking at? Do they feel like they need a little bit more engaged? Do they even want to lock in their support? They've been saving it relatively late into the draft. No, it does look like that initial expectation that Alistar that we were talking about is going to come through. You take that away from On, one of his best champions. Pairs up quite nicely with the Varus because the Varus provides the lane pressure where Alistar can sometimes fall short just because he doesn't provide a huge amount in those early levels. And BLG now, what do you even pick into it? With the 80 carry pool kind of limited in terms of good matchups into the Varus. The Xayah, of course, raises in priority. You go back to the bans, you can see the Rakan taken away. It does lean you towards that Leona potentially coming through for On if they still want that engage, which I do think they need as potential follow-up.
Okay, Xayah is locked in here, so a defensive option. Xayah, of course, one of the biggest weaknesses of this champion is range. It can be difficult for her to try to get in range of these longer, possible artillery-type champions. If Varus can hit a lot of piercing arrows, particularly with lethality builds, can be a real nightmare for that Xayah. And it looks like our last pick here will be the support Gragas for On.
Good matchup into the Alistar, can create a lot of disruption, provide a bit of peel, but can also potentially open an avenue for your dive to gain access onto the backline. Oh, your Renekton is flying at me. What if I throw a barrel behind him, send him over the other way, and then I can quickly set my sights on that Varus? Like the idea, we'll see how things pan out. The last pick is going to come through, and it's none other than Faker's Rise. Again, we go back to that CFO series. Faker was the weak point in that matchup. Hongq really got the better of him, and he wasn't performing in the way that we expect him to. Game 5, he was able to bounce back, but so far in this series, he has been a monster. His Game 1 Orianna dominance, in Game 2, it felt like that his Victor was unkillable, dishing out massive damage in the fights. Now on Game 3, he's going to be looking to try and attack these side lanes a little bit more, looking to push in through mid, move towards his side laners, set them up for success, or maybe even provide some split pushing options for his team later into the game.
So let's look at this from the perspective of BLG. BLG are the ones whose backs are against the wall. They must win now. What is the recipe for success now that we see both drafts?
They want to play through mid aggressively.
Okay.
Set up Knight for success. Vi is such an effective champion at working with the Ahri, specifically around their level 6. Get the flash out from Rise early. Get On roaming out onto the map and trying to put pressure on Faker. And then when this Rise is put behind, then you unlock this Ahri on the map to start making plays throughout the rest of the map.
All right, let's do it. Loading into the Rift for the third time today. T1 up 2-0 in this series. Remember that the winner here has a date with Gen G in the upper bracket after. It's gonna be a big one. Can BLG bounce back and show that they've got what it takes, or will T1 run this series over 3-0? BLG has a larger grouping top side than in previous games in this series. On just gonna use his body slam over the wall there. The mobility on the Gragas can get you deeper into enemy lines than you otherwise might expect someone to be. T1 gonna go for a counter invade, but they are on top of an early ward from BLG.
Immediate response from T1 to get that very deep vision onto BLG's bot side jungle. BLG gonna path back this way. Faker, he's gonna spot them out.
Faker walks right into the brush. Knight with the level 1 charm finds that on Faker as Keria goes for the headbutt to knock Elk away. But now On continuing to put the pressure on. Faker's under pressure from the Ignite. He's healing up, but the first blood goes over to BLG's mid laner.
Knight has to commit his flash, realizing that On's Ignite is the one that's likely to finish that one off. But he ends up getting that first blood. Great start for BLG, getting that punish. And now the trade in the bot lane. Guma, he expends the barrier. And BLG already off to the races here in Game 3.
Yeah, this is a very nice start for BLG. The non-flash summoner spell down for both On and Keria here in the bottom lane. Guma also using that barrier like you pointed out, so it's +1 summoner spell in the bot lane 2v2. The advantage for BLG on top of the additional damage that they got onto Guma Yushi, and Faker dying there before the minions even spawn. He's already had to use his teleport to get back to lane and make sure that he doesn't miss EXP. So that typical handshake of mid laners trying to scale towards level 5, level 6, make their first recall to buy a component item and then return will not be there.
I mean, the good news for Faker is that Knight started with the charm, which means that in terms of the very early mid-wave push, it's going to be entirely in Faker's control. You can see that getting that push, they also have that early ward that they invested onto the Raptors to spot out where Beishuan was starting in the early game. The trade's going to come through. Bit of a trade back from On, going to proc the Aftershock. So even though the barrier was expended, Guma Yushi leveraging the strength of the Varus to bully out Elk and On in the early laning phase. Knight finds himself underneath his tower in the early game, kind of as we expected by starting with that E. So Faker's been able to build a little bit of a CS advantage in the 1v1.
Another big difference in this game that was also present in the last game, On continuing to play with combat keystones, the aftershock that he played on the Rel in game 2. He is also playing on the Gragas here in game 3. Meanwhile, Keria, once again, taking the Summoner's Spellbook. You already mentioned in draft, the Alistar typically doesn't have as much lane presence as many other supports do. So instead, he's saying, all right, we're just going to rely on Varus, keep the range, keep the push, and he's going to use the Spellbook to scale through the game, have more of those options to try to catch BLG off guard.
It's a very fast swap towards the top side of the map coming through from Elk. A lot of farm and experience is going to be lost. The wave state also isn't ideal. It's not like he's catching a wave that was pushed underneath the tower. So he's about half a level now behind Gumayusi. He lost a wave and a half in terms of farm. Faker maintaining control over the mid wave as Owner hovering around. No flash, remember, on Knight.
Doran, Ruthless Predator.
Here?
I mean, maybe if Doran just gets really crazy, but right now he's happy to just ward the brush. Elk steps up, finds a couple of feathers there, but Doran's still just fine as Gumayusi and Keria have now made their way up here for the response swap. Keria using the minion to gain a little bit of extra distance with a headbutt, wants to pulverize. Doesn't find a whole lot else, but Elk loses a bunch of health to the piercing arrow of Gumayusi, even though they don't get the full lockdown. And now, yeah, Elk going for a recall. This Xayah feels pretty far behind.
This is very bad for Elk. Like, he's been denied so much farm. The wave was pushing towards T1's tower. The good news that this wave should slow push back towards that top tower, but they don't find a successful swap in the sense of getting out of this 2 versus 2. On now in a lot of danger.
Uh-oh. Keria's gonna stand in the way of it. Immediately flash, pulverize, headbutt to knock the big man back. Now with Owner showing up, there's no way out for On, and Gumayusi puts an arrow straight through him.
A clean play from Keria. The flash in front to give On no window of escape. Oh, this is disaster for Elk. Owner's hovering around. The threat of a dive is real. He recognizes that he's in serious danger. Beishuan has to get over here quickly. He desperately needs this farm.
Beishuan coming around from the side. It is a 1-level advantage for the Vi, but that's not going to matter. Elk gets slammed into the wall. Could have a 3v3 here. Faker thinking about rotating over. There is a Realm Warp available for the Rise. TP coming in now for BLG. They want to try to make a punish here against T1. Gumayusi and Keria using the heal from the Alistar for the extra move speed to make their disengage. Faker also walking up, not needing to use the Realm Warp just yet. Beishuan continuing the chase, but there's no ulti, no cease and desist for the Vi as Knight has the Spirit Rush. Faker's gonna be caught out. Nice play from BLG, and Faker's taken down.
Faker comes from mid to assist with T1's escape, but he finds himself isolated in the river, and BLG doesn't waste any time punishing that. A much needed kill to alleviate some of this pressure that was coming down onto the top side. Elk, though, still finds himself in a very difficult position, a full level behind Gumayusi, and he's down about 2 waves.
Yeah, and look at how big the wave is, Vettis. It's bouncing straight towards Gumayusi and Keria. Elk Xayah is going to have some work to do to catch back up, but Knight on his famous Ahri, off to a 1-0-1 start, off to a gold lead against Faker. In both of these past couple of games, BLG has tried to find the plays, tried to find the kills onto the T1 mid laner, and they've just come up short time and time again. If Knight can get fed, if Knight can be the one behind the wheel, they just might find what they're looking for.
I mean, they're in a great position because Beishuan about to take over to level 6. That mid laner has no flash. Knight, when he gets his ultimate back up, that is where I want to see these plays being made. Either threatening a play onto Faker, or at the very least getting that mid push and threatening a dive on the side lane. BLG need to find a way to help get Elk back into this game because, I mean, he's in a very awkward spot right now.
Yes.
The circumstances in the early laning phase have put him in an awkward position. Doran, though, meanwhile, on the top lane is kind of doing what they do, as they have done throughout this series, just kind of farming back and forth. Doran has built up a bit of a lead, kind of as we would expect in this matchup. Renekton having the advantage in the 1 versus 1. Knight, with the Lost Chapter already completed, is kind of an Ahri's dream. Getting that first item as quickly as you can really just helps with your wave clear. Really nice mana. On and Elk find themselves in a 2 versus 1 here. Guma has to respect this.
Yep, trying to get the distance and does successfully get away before On can find the range that he would need to try to make any sort of a move here. And now the teleport from Carrier. There's the use of that Summoner Spellbook like I mentioned earlier, just having the versatility of all the different options. 2-1 for BLG. Dead even game considering the extra disadvantages for Elk based on those minion waves like we were talking about earlier. As we'll see, no early objectives just yet. Owner now going to start up the Void Grubs. The first dragon wasn't taken before these, and T1 gonna go ahead and get ready to go. Now Faker looks like he's taking a recall now, but he has his teleport ready to join up here in the fight. First grub already over to T1, and it looks like BLG is gonna call it off.
BLG
they don't want this.
They would have loved to have fought it, but their AD carry is in no position to fight. Gumayushi being level 6, has that ulti available. That alone could be a difference maker, but without the additional damage of their AD carry, in a 3 versus 3, they would consider taking it. But as you recognized, Faker TP's back into the grub pit. They generate a 4 versus 3 numbers advantage. And so T1 secure the grubs. Now they can swap their top side back towards bot and start playing towards the dragon if they want. Knight takes a chunk of damage from Faker, zoning him from the wave. But here we go.
Baseline goes in. There's your cease and desist. Knight needs a little more damage. Faker's Realm Warp gets him away to Owner. And Faker survives. Now in the bottom lane, Doran with the Dominus trying to put the pressure onto Ben. Public Execution is still ready. The Ambessa defending himself underneath the turret. Doran charging up that Fury Bar though, finds the Empowered Call the Meek for a little bit of extra damage. But remember, once Ambessa unlocks her ultimate, she has the passive vamp on everything. It's much harder to wear him down over time.
A scary situation for Faker to find himself in. This is the play that we were talking about from the draft. This is what I wanted to see BLG doing to get a foothold in this game. They make the play happen, but they don't actually have enough damage to get the kill down onto Faker. The Dragon now going to be secured by T1 as well. The objectives are going the way of T1. And it feels like that slowly but surely BLG is losing more and more control over this game 3.
Still very, very close in terms of the gold overall. And one thing that I'm looking at throughout this game, Vedius, is the fact that that level 1 kill onto Faker, yes, it didn't end up making a whole big difference in terms of snowballing a massive gold lead, but the big thing it does is desync mid lane teleports, and they're still desynced. We talked about how Faker could join up in the grub fight earlier because he had the TP. Well, he's still got about half a cooldown left on that summoner spell. Knight, his teleport is ready to go. And what I want to see is if BLG can use that TP advantage to find the opportunity to make a big move somewhere.
Gonna be difficult, but definitely an option for them. Faker working with Carrier and Owner once again to control the vision, something we've been seeing them do very well throughout this series. Beishuan on the top side, so again, T1 just playing with numbers advantage very well, making it difficult for BLG to contest them or approach. Carrier playing with nothing but confidence. He's going to drop another ward, put some extra pressure down on the tonight, but the bot lane will return to that. Ooh, ulti.
Yeah, there's your public execution from Ben, but honestly, it doesn't turn into a whole lot, at least at the start. Ben gets some good extra damage on the back end of the trade there.
Okay, he was, oh yeah, he's sitting in the fog of war. He's hovering around the top side of the map.
Doran does have, however, the Dominus ready to go again. Owner's about to show up too. And as soon as Doran's posturing aggressively like that, just clearing out the wave, BLG knows something's got to be going on here. The wave gets cleared out, Beishuan and Ben back away, and T1 maintains the safety of their top laner.
A wise disengage for the BLG top jungle duo. That Dominus would have done some serious damage. And the 2v1, there's a good chance they can make that play work. But 2v2 would have ended in disaster. For now, the gold largely remains evil. Levels being secured as we get closer to the second dragon of the game. Both teams prioritizing getting what farm they can.
There's something poetic about Knight playing the Faker Ahri skin
as well.
into Faker himself.
The Hall of Legends skin itself.
It's a feeling
the
that
man that never wears a skin.
It's a feeling that most players will never experience, but that's where we're at here. Is On Just tries to get a quick snappy trade there onto Carrier, but it doesn't amount into a whole lot. Headbutt Pulv trying to turn things around, but now Doran and Carrier in a little bit of trouble. Cease and desist there onto the Gator. Knocked right back with the explosive cast. Doran tries to find the Ruthless Predator, but there's nothing there. Feat of Warfare claimed by Knight and BLG.
You wanted to see them use the Knight TP aggressively, and they do. I will say it's a bit... Oh, ulti.
Okay. Elk's fine?
Yeah, he is. But I think it was overkill. I will be honest. Like, don't get me wrong, funneling resources into Knight, great idea. But you've just left Faker isolated in the bot lane. He's just chipping away at those tower plates. He got 2 off the back of that. He's continuing to get another wave. Bin had no TP to go and respond of his own, which meant that, yeah, the actual gold swing doesn't shift that much. The only real good news is that Knight gets a couple stacks on his Dark Seal.
Exactly. He's working towards turning the ring into a book, and that might be the difference maker that they need. Knight does complete his Malignance here early on. This item can be very powerful with champions that get the chance to proc it multiple times with the ulti, like Ahri does. Gives you a ton of extra cooldown, too, to make sure those Spirit Rushes are always available, and that could be the big playmaking tool that BLG needs to get their first win in this series, to take us to a Game 4, and to keep the fight going against T1. 75 seconds until both the Dragon and the Herald spawn. They're desynced by literally 1 second, which I think, Vedius, always creates an interesting map state as teams have to decide, do you want to handshake this? Do you want to try to dissuade them while also half-heartedly going for the other objective yourself? It's always an interesting dance.
Certainly is. And we think about TPs once again, it's T1's turn with the TP advantage. Because Knight committed that to be on the top side of the map, he is in a position to contest the Herald, but I think it makes it much harder for BLG to contest the Dragon. Ona and Beishuan both hovering on the top side of the map. Wave gets pushed in underneath the tower that Faker has to go and get. BLG, though, looking for a quick reset. We'll see what their sights become. Okay, all right, Carrier. He's like, this is my ward on, and you are forbidden from touching it.
It's even, insult to injury is knocking him over the terrain, so if you want to get back to the wards, you've got to walk the walk of shame back to the ward. As Doran versus Bin, once again, the fight breaks out. Both of these guys are seemingly way too happy to commit their ultis to these fights, but this one ends up being good. They've got the opportunity to take the tier 1 turret. That's going to be the feat of turret for T1, and that's going to be one step closer. All they need is one neutral objective now. They'll have the extra boots too, and that neutral objective spawned right beside him here in the bot side river. Second Drake of the game is live. They already got the first one. If they get this, they'll be on a nice road to stacking towards the soul. They also got the 3 Void Grubs. It's every neutral in the game going the way of T1.
Certainly is. Knight stuck on the top side of the map, which means that they are not in a position to contest this objective. A Herald will still do BLG nicely. They can drop it into the mid lane to help them secure that tower, especially with Gumayushi acting as the gatekeeper once again. We often see him in this position. Ulti gets thrown out, won't connect onto Beishuan. But ultimately, T1 feel like that even though they are behind in gold, they're in a good position. 2 dragons to their name, the feats of warfare. They've secured the first tower of the game as well on the bot side of the map. And by the way, that was a clean movement. Guma getting that push in mid. He's had it all game long against Elk. And then that fight over that ward, escorting Guma from the mid lane to the bot lane. They caught that wave in bot, and then they secured the objective as well. Oh, top side.
Once again, they're looking to put the work in on Faker and BLG. Knight is eating so good in this one. 3-0-1 on the Ahri, 0-3-0 for Faker's Rise. A 1,500 gold lead for BLG. And while T1 was making their play in the bottom side, you already touched on it. Beishuan secured the Rift Herald, so that means BLG have the opportunity to extend the gold lead even further. Now Knight could have a bit of a problem. He's already used the Spirit Rush, and now he's got to try to escape from Doran and Owner, but his flash was already spent, and Owner's ready to chase. That's a kill going over to T1 as Carrier and Gumayushi are up against the remainder of BLG. Bin trying to distract Doran and Owner, as now Carrier's ready to jump right back into the fight. It's Faker trying to join up with the TP. He's arrived, and the cask flies out to buy some time, but it won't buy enough. Elk with a nice root there on the blade caller, but he gets pulled back. A double impale from Owner, and BLG are shattered.
Just like that, T1 flipped the game on its head once more. The momentum going so much in the favor of BLG. Knight is getting so strong, but he stays for a wave too many. T1 collapse onto him, they get a big shutdown. BLG, though, desperate for something else, think that they've caught out Carrier. Maybe they can even get a play onto Guma. He's safely over the wall, Carrier acting as a bodyguard, and then they forget that TP is available for Faker. The man arrives, T1 are poised to collect these kills, and as desperately as Elk tries to escape, Faker and Owner make the magic happen. Kill after kill after kill. They take out...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah!
I couldn't have said it better myself. 5 kills to 4. T1 now lead with the gold.
Beautiful sequence there from T1. BLG trying to make their play, but Knight getting caught at the very start. That was your 3-kill Ahri, dying to kick off the fight. Now Doran versus Bin once again. Doran popping the Dominus to clear out the wave. BLG was trying to overload to go for a dive here. T1 brings up reinforcements. Doran clears the wave out in time that BLG can't act before those reinforcements arrive, and that means BLG back away. They're gonna get a consolation prize of a red buff, but what's that, Vedius? Down there in the bot lane, we got a long-range problem as Faker's applying pressure onto the tier 2. He will demand a response from Knight there with the teleport to go answer that, but that's once again the most fed player on BLG being drawn away from the battlefield. Owner continues chasing forward. Gumiyushi's going to pick up a Scuttle Crab. T1 maintains control over the topside river.
BLG gets sucked into the action. We've been seeing it throughout the series, and they're looking for more.
Okay, Carrier might be the target here for the BLG engage. Finds a nice 3-man pulverize, drops the unbreakable will, but they'll break him anyway. They just want to give the money over to Elk, bring him back into the game. Gumiyushi knocked back! Beautiful play from On! Shutdown for Knight! Owner with another double impale, as Ben has to flash away from the turret. BLG don't lose a man, and they find 2 critical picks.
These are the type of plays we need to be seeing from BLG. Pick after pick, getting more control on the map, converting these picks into objectives as well. The mid tower has been secured. BLG showing us that there's still very much life left in them. I thought that they'd be in a bit of danger, but when you look at the map state, T1 is playing on 3 lanes. Guma throws out the ultimate to try and help his support, but there's little he can do. Knight has already collapsed. Guma doing his best to sidestep, but he doesn't have any summoners. Then On with a fantastic ulti, sets up for the shutdown on tonight. And then Owner's forced to retreat. T1 lose a few members, they lose that mid-tier 1, and BLG fight back here in game 3.
T1 still with a 2-0 Drake lead, however, and 10 seconds until the 3rd Drake of the game spawns. BLG do not want to give this one away for free, as T1 try to hit him with a couple of skill shots on the way through. Ward over the wall from BLG, gonna see the Drake get pulled. T1 do not want to allow it to just sit in the pit, and Beishwan is ready to try to challenge here in the Smite fight. Bin looking for the angle on the side, but Doran's ready to block him. Ward's trying to keep an eye here on the Dragon as On tries to throw a barrel out. T1 still with control over the objective, but Beishwan is in range. We could get a Smite fight. It's gonna be secured by Carrier, and now the engage coming out from BLG. Doran's over the wall. He slices. He's ready to dice. T1 staying alive for now, but Doran's going to be killed here at the very start. Bin, the only one caught inside the impale, and BLG's winning the fight. Carrier's going to die next. He tries to get away. He flashes into the realm morph to survive, and now Faker, the next target. BLG are finally going to get him. Bin going for another, and Carrier barely hobbles away. BLG may have lost the Drake, but they absolutely smashed the fight.
A massive team fight win for BLG. Elk reacts beautifully to the flank from Doran, and they turn their attention to the dangerous Crocodile on the top side. Keep your eyes on the left flank. Doran eyes up the AD carry. He has vision on him, but they're aware of that collapse as Knight attacks one flank and the engage comes through onto On. All of BLG turn their attention onto Doran. Knight comes back to the back line. They charm him up, they take him down, and there's more action back to live.
BLG looking to force down the Otacon, trying to fight their way back into the game. They secure the objective, but the fight afterwards is ready to rage. Faker with a Ruined Prison onto Bin, but Doran might drop. They peel off Bin and save the Croc. Owner looking for an approach here off to the side. Yes, T1 get back a kill, but that's a massive swing over to BLG. They've got plus a 1,000 real gold lead, but then look at the Flowers, 29-6. Plus 23 Flowers is about a 2,000 gold lead in that stat for BLG. Carry is looking to go in and make the dive, and On's going to be caught by the Ishtal impact. Faker flashing back, making sure he doesn't die. Elk and Knight trying to continue providing covering fire and keeping themselves alive. T1 get another kill and have to back away.
T1 can't keep getting away with this. They just keep getting pick after pick. I admire BLG's resilience because even if they find themselves a bit behind, they just keep forcing the fight. Objective after objective. They do not concede these without a fight. And they're turning things in their favor. You're right, Flowers. T1 finds themselves at soul point, but that Arakan will alleviate a lot of pressure. It will give them much needed stats and put BLG in a much better position as we get closer and closer to that soul fight. Knight at the precipice of completing that death cap will give him so much damage. And we said at the beginning of this game that he needed to step up. Beishwan very low.
Yeah, Beishwan caught up by the Ruined Prison there, wants to vault break his way away, but the Realm Orb's ready to catch him out. Knight immediately there to back up his jungler, and Beishwan at 8 HP walks away.
He face checks into Faker, and Faker ambitiously chases after his target, but he will not secure the kill. And Beishwan gets away. Bin looking to secure that top tower, getting a bit more of a gold injection for his team.
And he will smash that tower before Doran can show up, try to stop him. Let's take another look at how close this was.
Beishwan getting run down by Faker, the Sundered Sky, giving Beishwan a bit of extra HP. Knight, though, sitting there in the fog of war, connects the charm, the ultimate acting as an escape tool, and then he flashes away to safety. Ooh-hoo-hoo! The Flux coming dangerously close to securing that kill.
Two. Producers
but
have told me
as we say in the
two.
Business, not even close.
Not even close. 2 HP, too many. That's what the deal is for Beishwan. All calculated all the time. He gets away from it. And now, the biggest gold differences in this game. Knight ahead over 2,000 versus Faker. He just purchased his Rabadon's death cap. This Ahri could decimate a fight if he gets the chance to play it his way.
Once he gets that level 16 as well, that ultimate is going to be on such a low cooldown. He's been fishing for flanks in every single fight. The target selection will be extremely important. Elk has also slowly found his way back into the game. Of course, he's still very far behind Gumayushi, but the experience, dead even. He's still at 2 completed items. And this is getting into a scary situation for T1. Can they find the fights that they have continued to find throughout this series? Or will BLG bring us to a game 4? You can feel the fierceness in BLG's play. Knight is in a position to carry, and he's the player that we will continue to keep our eyes on. 30 seconds until the dragon spawns.
Elk critically also now with 2 fully completed items. He's got the Essence Reaver. He's got his Navori Quick Blades. Over on the other side though, Guma with the Muramana, with the Edge of Night, with the Ghost Blade. 3 powerful items for the lethality. Varus, 10 seconds until the Mountain Soul for T1 spawns, but it's BLG with the combat stat advantage, with the slight gold lead, with control over the bot side river. As T1 grouped up, they're going for a Realm Warp. They want to just go after the Baron. They're going to try to start this up and maybe burst it down. They demand a response from BLG instead. They don't want to walk into BLG. They're going to make BLG walk into them. The Baron's already down to half HP, but BLG has arrived. What is the call from T1? They're going to disengage it, it looks like, but they're still staying aggroed onto the Baron. It's down to 4K, 3K on a Knight trying to step up. The Baron is claimed by T1. Bins into the back line, but now he's in danger. Owner looking to control the rest of the fight. T1's already found the first kill. Beishwan's here with the front line, but a massive knockup from Carrier. On is down. T1 murdering BLG. Elk, the next to fall. Knight is the only one left, but the kingdom is burning.
BLG try their best to respond to the Baron. They cannot find the angle, and the crowd simply erupts as T1, for the 3rd time in a row, will find the monstrous fight, will find the Baron, and are looking to close this series out.
A brilliant gambit from T1. They know that BLG owns the bottom side river. They know it's dangerous to check, so they just don't. They make BLG answer them instead. They win the fight, they earn the Baron, they secure the soul.
What's crazy about this is T1's Baron wasn't even that fast. They have a lethality virus, and it gives so much time for BLG to actually respond, but they just cannot find an angle. We look back at this MasterCard priceless moment, and we see in this window a lot of damage is done to Doran. Bin goes in onto the backline, but there's no follow-up because BLG's focus is divided. 3 members set their sights on the Baron while Bin goes in alone onto the backside. They don't play the fight slow. Then watch Carrier. He gets the 2-man knockup on Tonight specifically. So much damage is dealt to him, and T1 just turned this into pick after pick after pick. Elk has nothing left. Even with the flash, there's nowhere for him to go. And T1 decimate the fight.
Really, really well done there. Owners Impale also locking up Beishwan so that the Vi can't jump in with the Ambessa. There's no two-pronged threat. And T1 now with the Baron pushing up. That last sequence also earned Owner his 1,000th assist at international tournaments for his career, as T1 now gonna get collapsed on. Potentially Bin with the TP wants the angle, but Owner's already found the pull. Beishwan's down, and T1's bringing in the backup. A nice blade collar from Elk, but is it enough? Doran pops the Dominus, and Elk's feathers fly. Carrier and Gumayushi putting more damage into Knight, as Carrier might just die. The point-blank piercing arrow finds a little, but Gumayushi has to flash away. Elk with another kill! Beautifully done alongside Knight. Faker dominating with the kill on Bin. It's a 2-for-2 trade.
T1 overstep on the bot side, and they give an angle for Knight to find the outplay. Working with Elk, they do massive damage, and they pick apart the bot lane. The Baron losing some value. Of course, still a massive Red Bull Baron power play, but Knight holds the line for now.
Big stop there from BLG. It looked like T1 was looking to maybe end the game, but watch Elk and watch Knight.
The fight is on two fronts. The TP comes in on the one side. Faker turns his attention onto that, whereas the moment that the engage comes through from Beishwan, he gets shut down. Bin gets isolated as Owner and Faker turn their attention onto him. But now this is too deep. A really good barrel comes through from On. The feathers do in fact fly, do massive damage onto Doran, and Carrier is low as well. Knight sees that as his opportunity to pick up a single pick. Then he converts it with the charm, and then the flash forward from Elk means that they secure another kill. A shutdown comes through. And it's BLG that fight back. They're not down and out just yet. They find themselves behind, fighting up against a Mountain Soul, but a few more picks, and they can still find a way to fight back here in Game 3.
4 fully completed major items for Knight. Elk completing his Lord Dominic's regards at the same time to make sure he can punch through the front line of T1. 3 minutes until the Elder spawns, 2 minutes until the Baron is back alive. T1 invading the enemy jungle. They want the red buff, but Beishwan secures it with a nice smite there. Will not let Owner get the better of that minor objective as T1 continues setting up vision, control wards in enemy territory, looking to choke BLG out of the rift, make it scary to walk anywhere into the fog, make it slow to walk anywhere outside of the base, so that when these neutrals are ready, T1 can once again jump on that. 90 seconds now on the Baron, 1 minute more than that for the Elder. Because of the fact that they're desynced, there's not a chance to do this, pull them towards one side, jump to the other again, unless you delay. We'll see if T1 wants that delay, since they showed their ability to navigate it earlier, or if they just want to rush the first.
I think BLG still have a way to win the team fights. They really just have to be deliberate in their target selection. You can't have Bin diving onto the backline while the rest of BLG are focusing down the Baron. Their best team fight was when they turned their attention onto Doran as he tried to threaten Elk. If they can just lock down a single member, they have a lot of single target damage. The feathers can make it very difficult for T1 to chase them. It all comes down to patience. Right now it's T1 with the Mountain Soul, keeping the mid push up. The Baron spawning in 35 seconds. T1 know that they're stronger. They have a lot of poke, and you're seeing it on your screen right now. Guma can make it very difficult for BLG to approach the objective.
Bin coming back out of the base now, has his Death's Dance, Shojin and Eclipse all completed. BLG trying to step forward. They do not want to allow T1 to start DPSing another Baron, no matter how slow it might go. We know that they're not afraid of the objective. BLG, I completely agree with you, Vedius. They need to find the angles. They need to be coordinated. They need to all be playing like a machine if they want to win this next fight against the Mountain Soul. T1, keep your eyes on Faker in the Realm Warp. Nice piercing arrow from Gumayushi. On's already lost 60% HP. Doran with a potential pincer angle. BLG scattered now, split into two halves. Knight takes another big hit there from the piercing arrow. Realm Warp, once again, it worked the first time. How about the second? On, barely at any HP. Beishwan and Knight looking to try to approach. Piercing arrow flies out. T1 still thinking about the turn. Doran's coming around from behind. The dominance, flash with the Predator. Next, somebody gonna be locked up. Carrier's got the follow. It's over. It's done. T1 slam the final fight. Doran clutch again with the angle at the perfect moment.
Phenomenal, simply phenomenal from T1. Fantastic coordination. Doran leveraging the fog of war. Bin, he's trying to get a kill back, but his nexus is exposed and T1's looking to end the game and the series.
The TP coming in as Carrier is ready to join back up with the rest of the team. BLG wanted to conquer their demons, but T1 are their nightmare. 3-0. The LCK squad works their magic again.
BLG showed so many moments of brilliance, but T1 simply one-upped them. They played the fights better, and that final fight truly was exquisite. T1 and LCK fans will get the matchup that they wanted. They'll go up to face Gen G in the upper bracket.
With that win, Faker is now the first player ever to earn 200 wins at League of Legends Esports International events. The greatest of all time for a reason.
The man is just too damn good. Congratulations to Faker, congratulations to T1.